I think we're live here. Hello out there, everybody.
Hello.
Looks like we're live again from the vineyards. A little bit different view today. Welcome to House Family Vineyards, another extension of our virtual tastings. This is a pretty special one. A lot of technology is going on here. We're today going to represent, count them, 3 hemispheres and 3 continents.
I think there's only
So
2 hemispheres on this.
now you got Eastern Hemisphere. You're in the Eastern. Well, Germany is half Eastern, half Western, right?
We count ourselves to the Western world, but anyways.
All right.
Definitely
well, technically, there's parts of Germany in the Eastern Hemisphere. So, Jonathan here, I'm gonna have to school him
Not
a little
since
bit
the
on
Iron Curtain came down. Anyways.
German geography, but we're gonna call it 3 continents because we know that's true.
Right.
So today we have a very special episode here. We're representing, the Northern Hemisphere up here, where it would normally be a beautiful, beautiful sunny day, but this is May, and May does this with us.
It's quite simple. The vines have started flowering, and the sooner they start flowering, we get a little bit of drizzle just to mess things up.
Yeah.
It's just to make my life harder. So.
Yes, Mother Nature, she never consults with us, and anyways, here we are. We're in a beautiful setting, one of the most beautiful kitchens probably on the planet. Sorry, Juan Pablo, yours is a very beautiful kitchen. So I've been by myself. I'm Jim Cargill, winemaker for House Family Vineyards.
Jonathan Goodling, vineyard manager for House Family Vineyards.
And on this technological feed, you're going to now be transported to the Southern Hemisphere, to the country of Argentina in the Southern Hemisphere, to Mendoza. And Juan Pablo, our collaborating winemaker and very good friend of mine, is joining us. Hello, Juan.
Hi, how are you doing?
We've opened up the wine, and we're going to do a cheers. Salud. Salud, 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 salud. So Juan Pablo is at his house in Mendoza, and he's cooking on this beautiful. I'm actually very jealous. I love your cooking setup, even though I love mine. But your cooking setup is phenomenal. The barbecues, they're really not barbecues. It's a parrilla in there. So Juan's giving you a little tour of it right now. He's got the open coals, a beautiful fire table that he's working on, a beautiful loaf of bread. So, Juan's got his bread. We've got our breads. So they're very similar meals that we're going to be talking about today. We're not going to necessarily give you any recipes. You can follow along. This is very simple. But what we're going to do is compare and contrast the styles of cooking in the different hemispheres and what a German barbecue may look like, what a Argentinian barbecue may look like, and what a barbecue in the United States may look like. But this is all to showcase our inaugural vintage of the 2016 House Family Vineyards Malbec. So this is a program and a project that many of you have not heard of. But this is a collaboration with Juan Pablo and down in Argentina. So Jonathan and I have been down there, and they have a family farm there. I'm going to let Juan Pablo speak about these in just a minute. We've opened up this wine about an hour ago, and then both JP and I agree that this is a wine that's slow to open, but it's got a lot of power, a lot of structure, beautiful flavors. And the area that it comes from in Mendoza, and Juan may correct me, but it's a high elevation. The Pajare Altamira, it's in the Uco Valley in Mendoza, and it's a higher bench shelf of growing that's in the lee of the Andes on the eastern side of the Andes. Some beautiful, we may have some pictures that we can pop up there. So, Juan, since I have you on here, why don't you tell us a little bit, go ahead and, say hi, introduce yourself, and then maybe talk about the family farm and the vineyards where these grapes come from, and kind of the beauty of that and what flavors you get, and maybe some of the differentiators in Malbecs, because unfortunately in America, we have horrible Malbecs. What we get, and you know what we get, Juan. You're laughing. You're laughing right now. So you know what we get, and they're really poor examples of that. And in our travels down to Argentina, in our quest for this, for these beautiful grapes that are done much like we do, we've established this relationship. We found these grapes. We found this partnership that we've made in Argentina, and it's just a fantastic, very fun project that we're doing. So we've got a couple pictures flashing through there with that's Jonathan and myself and Juan Pablo in the vineyards, and looking at those. This is last year's harvest actually. Loading up some grapes, just small lugs, hand picked. So really well tended. This is the family farm. So Juan, I'm going to turn it over to you for a moment. I'm going to tend my fire because I think it's dying a little bit. Why don't you tell us a little bit about where the farm is located and describe some of the flavors you're getting, and then we'll come back to Jonathan and I, and we'll describe some of the stuff we're tasting here. So Juan Pablo, take it away.
Okay. Hi, welcome. I'm Juan Pablo Lupiañez. I was born here in Mendoza. Mendoza is in the center west of Argentina, and we're in the foothills of the Andes. The Malbec, we are in a Malbec land, and we own a vineyard in the Uco Valley. The Uco Valley is southwest from Mendoza City, around 80 miles southwest, and we have this beautiful vineyard that is 40-hectare Malbec based in Paraje Altamira. Paraje Altamira is one of the most beautiful places in the Uco Valley. is the southernmost area, and it's very close to the mountains. And we are located in a place very special because it's what we call the alluvional cone of the Tunudán River. So we tend to have a very shallow soil, and then it's all rocks, very big, from tiny to big rocks that are all covered with carbon calcium that gives a very particular taste to the wines. Our vineyard it was originally planted in 1947. So we have what we call the muscle selection of Malbec vines, which give a particular character also to the wines. So basically, we started to work on this project with the House Family Vineyard team, and we're tasting the 2016 vintage. This was a very particular vintage in Mendoza. It was a really cold vintage, and it rained quite a lot, which gave us the typical character of the Malbec from this area. It's you have very good concentration, but also we produce Malbecs that are not like the traditional fruity, juicy Malbec. So we also get some herbal hints and some spices, which gives a lot of character to the wine. So, are you there, Jim?
I am here. So great description. So, I was kind of smelling through these. Jonathan's been, letting these develop in a glass, and I absolutely agree with you. Much like our own vineyard, these are not big fruit bomb style wines, which I love. It's really about the earth and the connection with the earth, and that was the theme today. It's earth and fire, vineyard and table. So I mean that's exactly what I wanted to portray here. You've got the fire going in the background. Juan Pablo, you've got your fire going. We've looked at the vineyards, the earth where these wines came from, and that connection to the earth. And we've talked about this a lot, Jonathan. of how the winemaker's job is really don't mess it up. I'm really the babysitter to the glass. The wine is made in the vineyard, and so what describe some of the characteristics you're getting, and maybe compare and contrast some like a Cahors style that maybe you're more familiar with, which would be from Europe. So it's one of the 5 Bordeaux grapes, but Cahors is we're traditionally known for Malbec. But why don't you take it away and
well, obviously I will agree with that the wines are really made in the vineyards. Wines are made in the vineyards, and so that means to me that the plants are definitely influenced by their environment, by the nature around them, and both here in California and in Argentina, when we were there, we have similar vegetation. We have this like low vegetation. The name of it is escaping me right now. Like this bushy, brushy
chaparral.
The chaparral. Thanks. That's the word I was looking for. And so many of these bushes and plants growing there, they are fragrant when you rub the leaves. And so we have actually a lot of fragrant plants around us, and they impart some of their characteristics definitely to the vines and to the grapes themselves. On warm days, you can literally smell the essential oils in the air, and you find things like that back in the wine. So I feel we get a little bit of these like spiciness, dark flavors from the soil, from nature around. It's not. Yeah, I agree. I mean, maybe like very dark, dried fruits, but I definitely get these dark aromatics, like fragrant wood. It's the same wood Juan Pablo uses for making this fire when he makes his barbecue.
So we can flip to you if we can see that. So you've got some of that you're going to throw right into this fire, and you're holding that up now, and it just makes a great aromatic. Getting that right in the fire, and that's really what this is all about. This farm to table, this earth and this connection, and how we do this. So I mean, growing these beautiful vines, tending the grapes, making the wine, and letting them express themselves is how it kind of brings it right to the table. And so it's just, that's a great. I love that you kind of bring that to the table. That you can, bring those senses in, and even here last week, we're in bloom, and you can really smell the flowers, and there's just some really great aromatics as these flowers are blooming, and you can smell the Chardonnay.
The Chardonnay. Well, we now see it also. We have some Cab flowering, and we have some Merlot flowering right now. But the Merlot, the Chardonnay is really in the middle of it. And on like a warm day, like you were there on Friday evening, I think, or Thursday evening it was, and on the hillsides with then the thermic, the warm air coming up, rising up on the hillside, and really, if you stand on top of the hill, it really carries all these fragrances up to you. And vine flowers are they're not. Most people have not seen vine flowers before. They're very, very unspectacular, and I could go over there and pick one and bring it over here, but when I pick a vine flower, then a whole cluster is gone, and that's a glass of wine. And so we're not doing that. You have to come by yourself, or you Google it, vine flowers, and they're really, really delicate little flowers. You can barely see them, but they have this very strong aromatic. It's sweet and savory. It has a little bit of the promise of the wine itself, but very perfumed. A little bit of a muscat smell to them. And that's what we can smell, and it's that's one of the beautiful things being working on a vineyard, having this reference which not a lot of people know about.
All right, so we've talked about the wines. I know a lot of you out there have these wines, pre-ordered. This will be in our spring wine club release, so we're very excited about that. That's why this whole segment's going on. But what we're going to do now is we're going to have a little cook-off here. And it's a friendly competition, so you know what, we're gonna cook some fun stuff. I've talked about a lot of stuff. You know, I've kind of said what I may pair a certain Cabernet with, and I've made Jonathan salivate, and so I want to. We'll get to that in a second. So we're gonna do some open fire cooking. Juan Pablo's gonna show us the Argentinian style. Jonathan's gonna show us the German style. So I'm gonna let Jonathan start off. We're gonna go from Germany, then Juan Pablo, and then I'll come back and finish it up. And then you know what? We're gonna throw this stuff in the fire. We're gonna cook this stuff. We're gonna drink some more wine. We're gonna taste some things. Jonathan's got a German potato salad that I'm gonna let him describe. I'm guessing that's German, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, okay. Well, I just want to make sure that it wasn't some Spanish dish that you whipped up. But
No,
never know with that. Yeah. So all right, Jonathan, take it away. You got some great looking sausages there.
I do. Yeah. You want to see my sausage? First of all, I would say, you guys are lucky that this is about food and not about soccer, because otherwise it would really just Juan Pablo and me who would, would make this between us. But anyways, so what I brought today is I brought some sausages because I'm German, and I brought two different types, sort of like over categories. I don't know how well you can see that from over there. I'm going to lift it up a little bit. So we distinguish between two different types of sausages. Those were ground very fine, and then they get cooked quickly. So let's see. I put this over here. So these here were ground very fine and then cooked, so hence they have this like very light, almost whitish color. And then these over here, they are obviously raw, so they're like an Italian sausage or something like that. And so in different parts of Germany, you will find these different types of sausages. And in my family, we usually have these like raw sausages, but in other parts of Germany, you will have those. And so I brought both of them so people can compare and contrast. So that's the one thing I'm going to do. And then the other thing is steaks. But if you go to a German butcher and order steaks, ask for steaks for barbecue, you'll always get pork steaks. And these steaks are cut from we call it the neck region. I think here it would usually be sort of like a shoulder part. There's no bone in there, and you can see it's wonderfully marbled. So we have a little bit of fat in there, and that gives it a little bit of structure. And they will always be marinated. So I made two marinades. One is sort of like a garlic paprika one, and this is more of a Mediterranean one. So there's a little bit of garlic, rosemary, thyme, lemon juice, and they have been set for about 24 hours, and we're gonna grill them fairly hot and fast. Obviously, you want to cook them through and through, but still really just as short as possible. So you want high heat so they brown a little bit on the outside. And then the potato salad, I think I can take you guys over there. Let's see. Potato salad over here. The potato salad is almost like it becomes philosophical in Germany. So many people have asked me, what is the most typical German food? And, people wonder about schnitzel and, I don't know, pretzels or bread or whatever. All wrong. It is really potato salad, because I have talked to so many people about potato salads, and everybody will say, oh yeah, potato salad. I really like that. And the recipe my family does, this is really the best one. So basically, every German I've talked to will tell you my family recipe is the best one. They're all wrong, because obviously mine is the best one. I don't know where they get their ideas from. But so this one is made sort of like with the bechamel sauce. There's no mayonnaise, and there is no broth or vinegar or oil. It's made with the bechamel sauce, and when we taste it, we can talk a little bit more about it.
So I want to remind you that your mother's watching right now, and I'm thinking that it's probably, is this your recipe that you taught him how to make? All right, all right.
And
it's kind of mom's
and,
recipe.
And
right?
I think my mother had to learn it from her mother-in-law when she got married to my father. So yeah, but definitely family recipe. And so yeah, I made that yesterday night. So it could really marinate and steep. So it would be very nice.
Beautiful. Today. Well, hello to the mothers out there. So Jonathan's mom.
Hi, Mom.
I think my mom's on there. She taught me a lot about cooking. Maybe not so much about all this big fire cooking and wines, but we love you. It was Mother's Day a couple of days ago, so happy Mother's Day live from our part of the world. And now we're going to go to another part of the world. So, Juan, take me through. I love the style of cooking in Argentina. I've always loved it. Francis Malman, who's a great Argentinian chef from Uruguay, but also hails from Patagonia. He loves the fire, and we both love the fire too. I mean, it's just earth and fire. They're just two beautiful things that we get to work with every day. And so, take us through what an Argentinian barbecue looks like. So, you're on.
Okay. Well, so basically, as you said, we are in a fireplace. We love fire. We love to cook with fire, and we use this hardwood that we live in a desert, so our wood is very strong, very caloric, and we usually we light the fire and we cook. This is a typical asado, and we cook with very slow grilling with the embers. So here what we have is we have some portobello mushrooms that I cook with some olive oils, and I'm making some toasts with a homemade sourdough bread, some garlic from our farm, some red and yellow pepper. Then we have a typical chorizo, that is just a pork sausage, very traditional here. We have the morcilla. Morcilla is also very traditional. It's a Spanish blood sausage that is very tasty. And today I'm cooking a whole sirloin, and it's basically very slow cooking, and we'll eat it in maybe 20-25 minutes. And I use always some coarse salt, and as we talked before, I use this, you called it chaparral, but we call it here jarilla. Jarilla is the name of this, but it's basically the same. It gives this resin style scent that we find most everywhere, very close to the vineyard and close to the mountain, where we have this desert vegetation. So this is basically it. It's a typical dinner for the family on Wednesday night.
I absolutely love it. Thank you, Juan Pablo, for going through that piece of Argentinian culture. And the beautiful thing is that I'm literally cooking dinner for my family right now, and all of us, and so is Juan Pablo. So it's just and you're 4 hours ahead right now. 4 hours ahead, yeah. So this is typical dinner time. The culture down there is so fun. Just the way the day rolls, the work plan rolls. I would love to get America on this plan, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. But so we just have to continue on, and I just have to come down there a whole lot more often. So I've talked about the fire. So we've talked about the earth, the vineyards where these wines came from. And those of you out there, if you're drinking this Malbec, I think a few of you have that out there. Give us a shout out. Tell us what you're tasting. We've gone through some tasting techniques early on, smelling your wrist, resetting your palate, your nose, and this wine is really I don't want to say it's shy, but it's very slow to open. And but that excites me about this wine. It's not one of these wines that you cork, put in your glass, and it gets in your face. It really takes hours to develop. So this has been open a couple hours right now, and it's just now starting to kind of show. Decanting really would help this out if you wanted to accelerate that and drink it a little quicker. But you know, I've had this over several days and tasted it. I love the way the flavor develops. So one of the things we talked about earth, and we're talking about fire. So Jonathan's working back here. He's burning some sausages in there. So we're
trying not to burn them, but you know.
It's all right. That happens. So I talked about, you know, connection with fire. So this, I'm going to show you. I can't see what I'm showing. So hopefully it's a good view. So these are some pears, and I've got a sample of this. These are pears that I did. So these are some beautiful pears that I bought today, and brought them in. And this right here in the bottom of the bowl, Juan Pablo, is one whole bottle of Malbec right there, reduced down. I cooked the pears in there, and I've done a little jamon serrano. I cooked those in a cast iron skillet, so you got this really nice crispy texture to that. This is dessert, so I just wanted to let you know that I've made dessert first in case everything goes wrong. We can have dessert with a little bit of cheese over here, that'd be a fantastic way to finish off the night. But we're going to do something special tonight. I've talked about this tomahawk steak, so that's what I'm bringing out right now is the tomahawk steak.
Wow,
so, yeah. You know, that is a tomahawk ribeye right there. So I don't know, for all of you that can see that, I'm bringing that up close and personal. And so that's what we're going to talk about right there. So get that in the view. So that is a side of beef right there. So I'm going to show you a little bit of how I would prepare this, and it's very similar to what Juan Pablo may do in Argentina. And I really love the simplicity of how they don't overdo their meats. They really let the meat, the flavor of the meat, the beef show through, or any of the meat that you're eating. Very, very similar to the wines. So, you know, as a winemaker, I want to let the vineyard show through. The same thing is true with the cooking. So, for this, I'm going to go with a little bit of kosher salt, on there, a little bit of cracked pepper. Move that over. I love a lot of pepper. You can't hardly put enough pepper on it for me. Juan Pablo, I got the lemon, over the top of that. That's got a little bit of acid. It's going to let that move through. Flip that. We're going to do the other side. A little bit more salt on the top of that. And this is very simple. This is something you can do at home. You know, if you grab this meat, very, very simple styles. The lemon on there. This is something that I watched Juan do many nights. My twist to this is I like to take a little bit of roasted garlic. Can you pass me a fork over there? So I put a little bit of roasted garlic on here, and this is a slow roasted garlic that I put in, and I like to mash it into the meat. Get in there and get it nicely coated, so it's a nice paste on there. Rub that all over. Go with a little bit more.
How do you roast the garlic, Jim?
Very slow, so very similar to how Juan's cooking tonight. I take the oil and garlic, and I cook it for several hours on the stove in the afternoon, and it's 3-4 hours, but very, very low. It's not even really what I would call a boil. Yeah. That would happen. And then I like to put a little bit of thyme. So this is right from the garden. A little bit of fresh thyme that we're going to throw on there just to give it that fresh herbal aspect. Let that kind of rub in, and then this thing is going to go right on the fire. Now another trick that I like to do is just bleed in a little bit of the wine that I'm going to drink for that night. I'll often do this, a little bit ahead of time and let that drag the salt and the pepper in there and that flavoring.
Somebody who just tunes in right now would think there's all blood coming out of it.
No,
but,
That's a beautiful Malbec that we're drinking.
Malbec
So
from Juan Pablo.
that's what I was talking about a couple of weeks ago that was making you salivate. So that's going to go in the oven right now. I'm going to drag it, get all that flavor up on there. And we're going to put that right on in here. That's cooking away. I'm going to get rid of this.
So you guys can see there a little bit in the oven. The sausages I told you about, they were boiled first. They tend to cook very, very fast. I pulled them out a little bit, so they're just at the entrance of the oven. The raw sausages, they're further in. They need a little bit longer. They're about ready to get flipped. And in my family, we prefer our sausages, nicely browned. This one is a little bit overcooked. The oven is really, really hot. You can see here we're about 700 degrees Fahrenheit, or what is that? Almost 400 degrees Celsius.
That's not that hot. We're going to get a couple of pieces of skirt steak in here that I marinated.
Oh, nice. What's in the marinade for the skirt steaks, Jim?
So this is a marinade that I've worked on for many, many years, and it's more.
I hope it's fresher than that.
Well, it's not from several years ago, but it's a combination of 3 different citrus. So it's got lemon juice, lime juice, and orange juice. The orange juice gives it a little bit of sugar, and that'll help caramelize the outside of it. So when you're cooking with this high heat fire, it's really it's going to put a nice crispy texture to the meat. The acid is going to tenderize the meat. It's fresh onions, fresh garlic, oregano in there, some canola oil that I put in there, and some red wine vinegar. So you've got 4 different acids that are working there to kind of help break that down. And acid is such a critical part of the wine, that comes in there. That. So you've got the balance of the acid in the food, the acid in the wine, this beautiful component that works back and forth, and that's why in those marinades that acid is so important in there. Yeah. So Juan, let's check in on your grill. How are things looking? You've been cooking for several hours now, and we've got a few things going.
Yeah.
So what's happening there? Is anything ready to come off the grill that we can take a look at?
Yeah, we're much more austere than your tomahawk. I'm getting very hungry. Getting very hungry looking at that tomahawk, and you have to promise me that next time I come to visit, you cook that for me. Okay?
Juan came for his first Thanksgiving, and we did the turkeys and we barbecued the turkeys, and that was a lot of fun.
That was
Juan
great.
had his first Thanksgiving here, on Thanksgiving, last Thanksgiving. So that was a lot of fun. But the tomahawk, Michael Dean asked, are tomahawks easy to find? Well, they're not hard to find. Whole Foods would probably have them, in the United States. A good butcher, you can find them. They're not a cheap piece of meat, but they're certainly an indulgence with that bone in. It's certainly going to feed the whole family, and it's quite a dramatic display. So I'm looking forward to tasting that. And I've teased Jonathan with that for quite some time. So Juan, how's your grill looking? I see you've got the mushrooms coming off now, the vegetables.
Yeah, well, the family is quite hungry, so
all right,
get ready the mushrooms. So the toast are very crispy, the way I like it. I use olive oil, I use fresh parsley, I use a little bit of Hawaiian, how do you say, the spice, and so they're ready to go, and they're leaving now. So.
Excellent. Now, Catalina and the family, all right, that's looking good.
And then we'll follow with the morcillas.
All right. So I'm going to bring over another because our oven space is so tight. So I started this a little earlier ago, and so this is a dish that is native to Spain. Argentina does it, but it's called a tortilla. So it's got potatoes cooked. There's some egg, onion, garlic. It's a very simple dish that can be pulled out. Usually slice it in like a pie. We'll kind of come in here, loosen it up, and we'll put it on a plate. Hopefully this doesn't fail on me. But you know, this is because our oven space is so tight. You know, I wasn't able to you know, literally cook it now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you real quickly. I should have a spatula, but that's all right. You know, do a lot with a good chef knife. And so, but I'll throw together one real quickly and kind of show you, you know, what it may look like if you you know, if you want to put one together. Plate over there. All right. See if I can do this without fail. I didn't break the cork last week. Look at that. Got it all out. And so that, you know, that's a tortilla, and that would be something that would be cut, you know, cut into pie shaped pieces. You know, and you know, the family would, you know, take these pieces, kind of, you know, break them up. So it's kind of, you know, kind of a fun dish. I did these with some Peruvian purple potatoes, some red potatoes, and some small new potatoes. But I'm going to show you a real quick way to do this as John is pulling some of this meat out of here. I'm going to flip mine. It's starting to, you know, come out really, really nice. You're starting to get some good contact with the fire. Cooking nicely on there. Doing some chicken. That, you know, that's starting to cook up real nice. That's finishing up. Tomahawk's working. So I got sausages coming out. So let me go through a quick demonstration. I think we're seeing this. So yep, there we are. So I've got some small potatoes here that kind of just put in the pan. Got some onions, put over the top there, and then of course some oil, garlic oil, and you know what the heck? Let's throw in a few chunks of garlic. That's never going to hurt. Mix that up just a little bit, get it nice and coated. You know, a trick you can do, you can slow cook this, or you can blanch these ahead of time. You know, speed up the recipe. But why speed it up? You can drink another glass of wine while you're cooking. It's all about the slow cooking, just like wine.
I just threw
a little bit of
pork steaks in the oven.
All right, we got the pork in the oven. Sausages came out. We're going to carve through some of those sausages. So this is this I'm going to cook this until it gets a little bit crispy and brown, and then I'm going to put some egg over the top of that and just, you know, cook that until it's done. And that would be a tortilla, you know, a little bit different style. Typically they're finer chunks of potato, but you know, as a chef, I like rustic things, so that's what that was going to be. So we're going to throw that in the oven when we get that tomahawk out. Get that. So Jonathan's throwing the steaks in the oven. Those are going to be coming out. I'm going to bring, I've got another cutting board over here. We're going to start cutting through some of these sausages. And
if you can see here,
good
because
fire.
the marinade has some oil in it and it drips down, if you would do this on a regular barbecue with the embers underneath, you know, the oil drips down and it starts to burn. So, you know, a good grill master in Germany always has a bottle of beer, which he both drinks on, and then he shakes it a little bit and pours it out to sort of extinguish the flame so the meat doesn't burn. It should just, roast. But since we have the heat here from over, since it's a pizza oven, it's not such a big concern. Also, I don't have a beer, by the way, but yeah.
That would be nice. All right, so get some meat there. Look at that. I got some chicken coming off there. We got some sausages. So this is some of the skirt steak coming off there. Real nice stuff. This tomahawk's working. That tomahawk is going right there. So that's getting a really nice crust on it. That's what I want. I'm going to flip it over one time. Show you the backside. So I really want to keep good contact with the heat. I'm going to bring it back into the door. And I'm going to slow that down. So by slowing that down, I'm going to let that cook nice and rare. And so that's going to be kind of exciting. So you know what? I'm getting hungry here. I'm going to cut some of this stuff up. How about you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, you got the steaks going. Juan Pablo, you about ready to cut into some of this meat? Oh, look at that stuff. That's a little bit of chicken. We got some sausage.
I have some
Nice.
pepper salad
Nice.
with chorizo.
Chorizo?
Yeah.
All right.
So it's the grilled pepper, a little bit of garlic, and chorizo mixture.
Beautiful.
Oh wow.
Beautiful. Pass me a fork. Let's dig in here. So we've got kind of a meat fest going here. A lot of fun. We got to bring out the mustards. You know,
Condiments.
That's very
So
important.
I have to talk a little bit about the condiments too. So
That's the best mustard. I love this mustard.
yeah. So we have
Put that back.
So mustard in Germany is never sweet. Sometimes.
I think we're flipped.
No.
That one. Okay.
Ah,
We good?
okay.
Sorry.
All right.
You know,
okay.
Vineyard guy. We work in the dirt all day.
Exactly.
Not
You know.
technology.
Anyways, so mustards in Germany are never sweet and sometimes quite spicy. So this mustard here, which is called Löwenzahn, meaning lion mustard, is quite typical. It's very spicy, almost a little bit like wasabi. And then this is sort of like the standard mustard, which is just a little bit tart.
That is awesome.
Oh, wonderful! Thank you. Yeah. A little bit tart, but not hot or spicy in any way. But I wanted to point out the interesting.
iPad.
It's good. Sorry, we're flip the camera around again.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Sorry, we get cues
Yeah.
from our crew here.
So I want to point out the shape of the glass because I grew up. It looks a little bit like a beer mug, and so in Germany, quite typical. So you will find households where then the empty mustard jars are used as drinking jars for water. So I grew up with my parents, and we drank out of these empty mustard jars. We had our water out of those, and you notice that the lid, it's not threaded; it's just sort of like capped on, and that's quite typical. A little bit like here drinking from mason jars. And so that's why I brought this. And then this is a ketchup, but it's actually it's a curry ketchup. So if you want to replicate this, you just mix some curry powder into your regular ketchup you have at home. And that's quite popular in Germany to have with sausages and such.
All right, we've basically got a meat fest going here, and that's getting a lot of what this is about. These some of these steaks are cooking. You saw I pulled some of those out. Little bread I did earlier there. So I think it's about time to dig in. I think Juan, is your family getting hungry and ready to eat dinner?
Yeah, we're ready. Well, I will cut the cylinder to see what we're doing. Cappy, I need some support here. Technical support. Wait a minute.
I miss that so much.
Wait.
Gotten into it. All right, I'm ready. Oh, look at that. That is gorgeous. Wow,
So
fantastic.
it's looking good. So
Yeah.
the family is happy now.
They're going to come out. If they come in, introduce them. It's all. I mean, family is our middle name. That's what it's all about. The family farms and and keeping them all engaged. And it's a beautiful thing, and really about gathering around the table. And we just love doing this. So I think we're about ready to dig in. We got these steaks coming out.
Yeah.
If there's any,
So here that would be. I never get it right. So which side should I show this?
we got it.
We got it.
Figured it out.
So so now here that's one of the herb ones, and so we're gonna cut into that.
All right.
And
Next
then
one.
we have a paprika one as well.
All right, Wendy, a little shout out to you. She can't wait till we get open. All of you, it's sounds like it's going to be a few more weeks before we really get fully open here, and we're trying to take this thing cautiously, do the right thing, and really not this obviously this this whole situation we're going through is tough on us all. It's beautiful up here. We're enjoying this. We're enjoying connecting with you, live, on this. I hope you've got some, good cooking techniques. Had a little bit of view into what it's like to cook in Germany, what it's like to cook like in Argentina, and well, you should know what it's like to cook like here. But if you don't, you can always come up here and I'll cook for you. And then but
It may take though a while. He makes you all like excited about it, and then you have to wait 3 weeks. But he will eventually.
Hey,
it's gorgeous.
Yeah, 3 weeks you got that tomahawk steak. But that's gonna taste great with this Malbec, or any one of the wines. But I just want to say cheers to Juan Pablo. Thanks for making this a northern and southern hemisphere to bring us into your home tonight. The wines are beautiful. Thank you for sharing kind of the history of where these grapes come from. This collaborative project that we're doing, and I love the friendship. I love all the cooking, and we get to drink great wine because of it. So un abrazo for you and the family.
Un abrazo, guys.
Salud.
Yeah. Salud.
Salud.
All
Salud.
right. Let's eat dinner. All right. We'll see you another night.
Good
Cheers.
appetit.